changes. All right. Yeah. So as you can see on the screen here, we're going to go over the coaching changes. I'll just bring it back here. So just going to start off. I won't really go over the coaches that have been here. Obviously, Dan Campbell, those kind of guys. But guys that got promoted, new positions, or got hired onto the team this year. So we'll start off with the offensive coordinator, John Morton. He comes over after being the passing game coordinator for the Denver Broncos. Has a lot of history with Campbell. Both of them worked with Sean Payton in New Orleans, and he's now coming back. He was here 2 years ago as an offensive assistant with the Lions, went over to be that passing game coordinator with Denver, and he takes over the offensive coordinator job here, obviously left by Ben Johnson, the new head coach of the Chicago Bears. This next one here, it's one of my favorite, these next two actually are my favorite new hires coming in. A guy that lots of people know a lot about, David Shaw, the former Stanford head coach, is the passing game coordinator now. He's got a lot of history, obviously just football in general. Longtime head coach at Stanford, worked with John Morton, I believe it was actually, with the Raiders under John Gruden in the early 2000s there. I think they worked together on that staff. This next one is a big hire from the college ranks. A lot of teams were looking at him. We ended up with him. Running back coach Tashard Choice. Had a few good years in the NFL early on. Was drafted in, I believe, 2008. Had a successful couple of years there, and then became a really good coach. He's got a history with Jahmyr Gibbs. They worked together when Jahmyr was at Georgia Tech. Really, really great running backs coach. He's worked with Texas the last few years, so obviously Bijan Robinson and Roschon Johnson, the Bears running back, there as well. So he's had some really good running backs come out the last few years into the NFL. So I really like getting Tashard Choice to be our running backs coach. Our former running backs coach transitioned over to wide receiver coach, and he is still the assistant head coach. That is Scotty Montgomery. Hired him a couple years ago from the Indianapolis Colts, and he's been great. He was great with the running backs, and I don't expect any different with the wide receivers. That opening was left by Antoine Randall L. Unfortunately, he followed Ben Johnson to the Bears, so had an opening there. Scotty transfers over, allows us to get Tashard Choice. So really like what we've had going on there. Tight ends coach. Our tight ends coach, I was going to say Shane Waldron. That's not him. His name's slipping my mind right now, but he went to the Jets with Aaron Glenn. So we had an opening there. Tyler Roll was our assistant O-line coach before and transitioned to tight end coach. And Seth Ryan, the assistant, son of Rex Ryan, was our assistant wide receivers coach the last few years here. So he transfers over to the tight ends. Going to be working with Sam Laporta and Brock Wright and those guys in Detroit. The biggest name that we kept on the roster or the coaching staff this year, Hank Fraley. So he's still the offensive line coach. He has been ever since Dan Campbell stepped foot in Detroit as the head coach. But they gave him a boost with the run game coordinator. It's essentially just the title. He's been the run game coordinator. He was doing a lot of the run concepts for Ben Johnson the last couple of years here in Detroit. Gets the promotion to run game coordinator. Stays as the O-line coach. He had a lot of offers. Had a couple interviews with Seattle for their offensive coordinator. Obviously, Ben Johnson wanted him to go with him to Chicago. If I'm not mistaken, I think Aaron Glenn also wanted him with the Jets. So was highly coveted by a few different teams, but we were able to keep him in-house. He can continue working with Panay and Ragnow and Glasgow and all these guys. So I'm extremely excited about that. Now over to the defense. The defense coordinator, Kelvin Shepard, was the linebackers coach the last few years here. And this was the plan all along. When Aaron Glenn left, Kelvin Shepard was to be the DC. And they fell right into that plan. Everything sounds like he's ready to go. So we'll see if that's the case. I don't have any doubts. I'm hoping we run a little less man coverage. We were like top 2 or 3 in man coverage this past year. I'd like us to mix it up a bit more. It sounds like he wants to mix it up a bit more. So we'll see how that goes there. And then this was our big hire on the defensive side. The defensive line coach, our defensive line coach is now the DC for Mike Vrabel in New England. So we stole the defensive line coach from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Casey Rogers, and he became our run game coordinator as well. I really like this hire. It's a guy with DC experience and a guy that can kind of help Kelvin Shepard settle into that coordinator role. And then with Kelvin Shepard going to the defensive coordinator spot, Sean Dion Hamilton was the assistant under Kelvin Shepard. Kelvin Shepard's first year as the linebackers coach. Sean Dion Hamilton was still on the roster actually as a linebacker, so played for him as a coach, and then started learning under him as his assistant. So a lot of consistency with all the change, and a lot of guys that just fit right into what we're doing. So even though we had all those changes within the coaching staff, I don't think there's going to be much change. I think it's going to be a lot of the same stuff. It'll be interesting to see the offense just because Ben Johnson did so many trick plays. See if John Morton's going to kind of follow that, or if he's going to do his own thing, kind of follow what Sean Payton and them have done offensively over the years. I'll be very interested to see that.